I guess one of the things that that I was most unaware of when I very first started was just the absolute amount of work that really genuinely goes into brand development and community and growing and the growth online. You know, everybody, you look at online success, and man, you see people with hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of likes, and you're like, what is that secret sauce that they are putting in their content? Because I don't understand what it is. But once you start really looking into it, is consistency is the number one most important thing, I believe, to be the biggest part about it.
Heroes are an inspiring group of people. Every one of them, from the larger-than-life comic book heroes you see on the big silver screen to the everyday heroes that let us live the privileged lives we do. Every hero has a story to tell. The doctor saving lives at your local hospital, the war veteran down the street who risked his lives for our freedom, the police officers and firefighters who risk their safety to ensure ours. Every hero is special and every story worth telling, but there is one class of heroes that I think is often ignored. The entrepreneur, the creator, the producer, the ones who look at the problems in this world and think to themselves, you know what? I can fix that. I can help people, and I can make a difference. Then they go out and do exactly that by creating a new product or introducing a new service. Some go on to change the world, others make a world of difference to their customers. Welcome to The Hero Show. Join us as we pull back the masks of the world's finest heropreneurs and learn the secrets to their powers, their success, and their influence, so you can use those secrets to attract more sales, make more money, and experience more freedom in your business. I'm your host, Richard Matthews, and we are on in 3, 2, 1. So I want to talk a little bit about something more practical, right? So I have a section of our show, we call it the Hero's Tool Belt, right? Maybe you got a big magical hammer like Thor or a bulletproof vest like
Sure.
your neighborhood police officer. So specifically, this is more about like the tools that let you do what you do, right? So I think what would be interesting for my audience is like, what does it actually take to get online and stream something like that outside of the business stuff? Just like physically, what do you have to make that happen to actually get online and actually stream a video game?
Sure. So, very basic level, pretty much to get online and start streaming, like a lot of say you only have a console. If you have a PlayStation, you can stream. You can go and you can hit stream. You don't even have to have a microphone. You don't have to have a webcam. You can just hit stream. So very base level. You know, you need a PC. You need a console of some sort that allows for that streaming. However, if you want to say, if there's audience out there that's listening that wants to actually get into like maybe doing it a little bit more professionally, there are a ton of different areas that you need to start focusing in. Number one thing is obviously you need a strong PC to be able to play the games at a high like visual standard.
Like visual quality.
Visual quality needs to be up. So you need to have a PC that is built to not only stream the game or play the games, but also be able to stream it. A lot of streamers, a lot of the like big time professional streamers will have two PCs. One will be dedicated for playing the game. One will be dedicated for streaming. And personally, I don't need that quite yet, and we only operate on a one PC standard. But there are definitely a lot of streamers that do a dual PC setup. So you need that. I think that the number one most important thing that you can have as any sort of entertainment is good microphones. You need to have a good audio format.
I've got my lapel mic, that we're using for the show.
Absolutely. I like the lapel mic for sure. And I think that for me personally, whenever I listen to any sort of audio format or I go into anybody's streams, that's always probably my number one thing that I focus in on is how is the audio quality to it. I want to listen to something that's clear, and
yeah.
So having a good microphone setup, we operate with a Audio-Technica AT2020 is a really good $100 microphone that people can get And then you can operate your stream with or without a webcam. There are plenty of streamers out there that do a no cam stream. However, I think that having a camera in front of you adds to a lot of that connection with your audience.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you're trying to build that brand connection that you're talking about,
Right,
the community.
exactly. Like for me, I have to have the camera on because otherwise people are going to watch me like running into walls and stuff, and nobody wants to watch that. So I have to have a camera. On our channel, I have 4 cameras set up at any given time. So I have this forward facing cam. I have a back cam that is over my shoulder. I have a secondary cam for when we do live DJ sets, and then I have another camera that points down as an action cam on my DJ equipment.
Like your mouse and keyboard and that kind of stuff.
Right, right, right.
That's fancy. Like I've just got the one camera. We do have a nice camera here. This is a Sony A6500 that I've got wired up as a webcam. But
wow, that's amazing. That's going to be that's oh, I'm so jealous right now. That's the you have the 60 which one?
the 6500,
The
and we use
6500.
a thing called the CamLink 4K that you
Uh-huh.
just take the HDMI feed out of the camera and stick it in as a USB, and it
Yes.
pops up as a webcam, and like it looks really
It's
good. Obviously, I mean you can see
absolutely
the
amazing. Yeah, the those Sony cameras, that's like my next investment into the stream is
yeah.
it's
I
just
just
hard having
happen to
4.
have one because I'm a photographer,
Sure.
so I was like, if I've got the camera, I might as well use it for my channel, right?
You might as well use it 1000%. And dude, those Sony cameras are so nice. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want that one very, very, very badly. Right now we're working off of just a pure Logitech system. Right now we have 4 Logitech different cams. We have the $30 webcam, the Logitech C615 is a $30
Yeah.
webcam, and I stand behind that camera. Is such a good, like, low price quality camera. I think that a lot of people, if they're getting into streaming, a lot of people will get the 920 series.
Yeah. I have
And
one of those too.
right, and those are around like $100. But I genuinely feel that the $30 C615, it's an older, but man, it has the exact same quality. It's so nice for only
Yeah.
$30.
It cracks me up too because like I have the Logitech C920 or whatever it is, and it's like $100 thing, and it's pretty good. It's like 80% there as far as like the quality difference between the Sony that I'm using and that one. I
Right.
was like, but the Sony is a $1,500 camera. It's got a $400 or $800 lens attached to it, and then it's plugged into a $300 little device that switches the HDMI into USB. I'm like, so
Right.
we're talking like $2,300 or $2,400 just to get this picture for like what amounts to a 20% increase in quality.
Right. Exactly. That's the hardest part, right? Is justifying. Like, luckily that you had the equipment prior to doing
Yeah,
it.
like
Right now,
I
I'm
had
sitting.
all that. The only thing I bought was the CamLink. I was like, hey, if I get a CamLink, I can just use my already existing
This
photography
is
equipment too.
easy. I can just get
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
just
So
one little thing.
we have a capture card as well. That's how I'm able to play games off of like a PlayStation. I'm able to plug in a secondary laptop to it so that people can see the DJ software running on a separate computer. But I mean, I don't know if everybody has a similar setup, but I genuinely have. I come from a music background, and so having a good audio interface is very important as well. So audio
So,
interface
how do you
is my.
switch your camera feeds live?
I have what's called a Stream Deck from Elgato. They
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, so it's just a scene selection hotkey button tool that you see in a lot of production. It's basically the
So,
exact same
so you
thing.
have the 4 cameras, and then you have your screen that you're sharing as well. So you have like 5 different streams that you could pop up onto your screen at any given time.
Exactly. Yeah, we have I'm not going to open it up because it'll turn off my thing, but at any given time I have, like, I'm looking at the Stream Deck right now, and I have an away screen, my intro video, a screen that just is a screen capture with a voice over top of it. So if I'm like showing you how to do graphic design, we can just go straight into that and just show you that screen. Then we have our just chatting screen. We have the shared screen where it has me in it included into the
Mm-hmm.
screen capture. I have one for the PlayStation. We have, I mean, there are many different scenes that you can create on your, also, so I guess that's the other really important aspect, is having the program to allow for streaming, and that is utilizing a program, either OBS, XSplit.
Yeah.
Personally, we use Streamlabs OBS or
Mm-hmm.
Slobs, and so you have to have that interface in between you to be able to get
And then
all.
do you have to put a lot of thought and effort into lighting as well? Like, it's like I've just got one light that I use here, and then we have a window on the other side here that lights up, the
Sure.
other side.
Yeah, we have. I have several different lighting setups. I have this. I don't know. You see this cam. I have a controller here. I have different lighting that I have set up for it, just to allow. We have a green screen behind us. We just barely started incorporating the green screen, and being able to alpha channel your green screen, you have to have it lit pretty well. So I have a ring light, a ring LED light that is pointed towards me. Then I have two LED floodlights set up, one behind me to illuminate the backside
The
of the green
backdrop, yeah.
screen, and then one in front of me to provide a little bit more facial light, and allows for the camera to capture a little bit more of a smooth. That's one of the big drawbacks of having like just a webcam, is that you need a lot of light for it to capture without being choppy or having a low frame rate capture.
Yeah. That's
And
that's probably my favorite thing of the Sony camera here is like it could be dark in here and it'll still pick up and
so smooth. Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah,
You're
it's
making me
buttery and
really
creamy.
want to get on Amazon and make an order really quick.
So, gonna buy one of those A6500s. It's
Gosh,
wonderful.
I went on this podcast and it cost me like $800. I got a camera
Well,
out of it, but
luckily, they just released the new version of whatever this camera is, so the
uh-huh.
price dropped on this one like $500.
Oh wow, that's not bad at all for sure.
Yeah, I think it's down to like 1100 or maybe 900 now instead of 1600.
All right,
So
perfect.
yeah.
Well, we'll just have to make a donation goal then.
That's
But
actually
yeah,
a curious question. Is like, do you do things like that where you're like, hey, I need to get this new piece of equipment. Here's our set up donation goal. We're going to run a contest or something like that. Do you guys do things like that?
we I try to kind of stay away from asking the audience to help with providing for the production. Um, but we do, yeah, we do offer contests. You know, we did for our, when I very first started out, for our first 100 followers, we did a big giveaway. We have merchandise as well. That's another area of it, is creating merchandise has been a really big awesome experience for me. And so we did a big giveaway for that, and I try to utilize those kinds of things like contests and those goals more based around the channel's growth. Is I find it more
Yeah,
important to get more people in than necessarily provide a monetary value for it, in a way of like competition sort of way.
that makes
I'm
sense.
able to provide for the channel enough, that right now my biggest focus is getting
Growth.
community and growth. Exactly. So, but you can, you can absolutely. We do have like we have a wish list command in the chat, so you can go and see what's all on my Amazon wish list. People can go and take a look at that. You can look at what games there are on a wish list. So, I mean, that's the thing, is that you find is that, or that I've found at least, is the generosity within this community is absolutely astounding, because we're able to do that. Like I've had several games purchased by the community just because we had mentioned it, we're like, this would be a really fun game, and somebody was like, that would be a really fun game. Here you go. Let's play that.
Buy it for you, and then you guys can use it in the community. That's really cool.
Yeah,
So, so my next question for you is about your own personal heroes, right? So Frodo had Gandalf, Luke had Obi-Wan Kenobi, Robert Kiyosaki, who we mentioned already, had his rich dad. Who were some of your heroes? Were they real-life mentors, speakers, authors, peers who were a couple of years ahead of you in the streaming community? And how important were they to what you've accomplished so far with EurekaFresh?
sure. So, a lot of my, a lot of my background as far as like me as a person, and how I conduct myself business wise, and where I find importance in people development and culture and everything like that comes from, I used to work retail, and I had a district manager. His name was Jesse Higgins, and he was a very, very, very strong leader. He taught me a lot of things about how to be in a leading position, how to be a forward-facing uh, person that people can turn to as far as a leader, and what it means uh, to create that kind of sense of leadership around people. So I took a lot of inspiration from him. But as far as like streaming wise goes, the biggest inspiration that I had as a professional esports athlete and professional streamer. He goes by the name of TSM Vis, or just Vis. His handle is TSM Vis because he was associated with the esports team TSM. Um, so I don't know about how aware you or maybe some audience are of the streaming world, but there is a professional streamer out there that goes by the name of Dr. Disrespect. He's probably one of the top most popular streamers out there, hands down. He has the biggest, one of the biggest followings. He's up there with like Ninja and those kind of like household streaming names. As Dr. Disrespect has been kind of a big name in the streaming world for a really, really, really long time. And I started watching him, and I got a lot of inspiration from him as far as how he conducts himself as creating this character, Dr. Disrespect. I think that it's a stroke of pure genius that this guy is able to create this character and have this self-awareness of it, and really lean into it very, very heavily, where he's going to basketball games as the character Dr. Disrespect, and he's being like, he's able to embody that character so heavily. And that's kind of where I started with that. The Captain EurekaFresh is like, the backstory of the channel is that I'm a space pilot captain out in space who has decided to quit my job and to just become a streamer.
Fun.
And so I leaned really, really heavily into that because I watched Dr. Disrespect, and I found that was very, very I thought that was a very ingenious way of being able to separate yourself and your content. And I watched him, but his name is Dr. Disrespect. He's very toxic. He's very, he's a very outlandish type character. Yeah. And he was playing a lot with this streamer TSM Vis. And I just saw the way that he conducted himself while watching Dr. Disrespect. And I went over and I was like, who's this TSM Vis? I want to see what he's like. And I went over and started watching him, and it was then when I realized what powers there were within building a strong, tight-knit, positive community. Was that, yes, Dr. Disrespect has tens of thousands of viewers at any given moment. TSM Vis has thousands of viewers, so quite a decrease in viewership. However, man, has that guy really, really cultivated a very, very strong community in that. As soon as I got into that chat, I was immediately greeted by his moderators of the channel. I was immediately welcomed into it. I was immediately, brought into conversations. I didn't feel like I was getting like drowned out in conversations, because you have thousands of viewers commenting. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
you can get lost in that. And he was able to, still, he still makes it a point to, appreciate his viewers, donations, subs, bits, any of that. He's sure to is to acknowledge that. But it's the community that he's built around that I found so drawing. And I was at a point in my life where I really, really needed that sense of community. I really needed some areas, because my outside work away from streaming is that I work at a data center. um and those are pretty lonely places to work. There's
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
if anybody's ever seen Silicon Valley, those data center halls that they get thrown into where people get lost in, that's exactly how it is. And so finding that sense of community within his channel really was the thing that inspired me to be like, you know what, I think that I have what it takes to be entertaining, and I have an idea of what it takes to be a leader, and I understand what building culture is. Let's do this, and let's try to emulate this in a way to provide other people that space where they can come in and feel a part of something.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. So like there's two things I want to pull out of that for our listenership here. One of them is how important having a distinct personality is to building a brand. And it's something that we talk about frequently. It's one of the reasons why we actually structure this show the way that we do, right? Is we're talking about your distinct personality, and it's based off of Marvel superheroes, like how they actually build a superhero character, right? Where you have origin story, superpower, fatal flaw, common enemy, driving force, that kind of stuff. That is, those 6 things are what Marvel uses to build each one of their characters. And when it comes to building, a streaming character, like someone who's on there, you're actually building and then leading into that character. And you see that in the business world a lot with like the people that we build courses for, is we have to help them build a character that people connect to. Sure. Right. And it's not always an exact, version of yourself, right? It's not the person that you live every day. Like it's the person that you present to your audience.
Yeah. That's
and
huge.
Like in our space, one of the big marketers is the guy by the name of Dan Kennedy, right? And Dan Kennedy is known really well for his direct response marketing stuff. And years and years and years and years ago, when he really got started, he got known as, the no BS, right? The no bullshit guy. Sure. And he's leaned into that personality his whole life. Right. And it's funny because his personality is very gruff, and it's very no bullshit for his writing and his teaching and his education style. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if you meet him in person, he's the nicest guy you'd ever meet. Right.
Super
It's
nice.
part of the, it's the personality that he portrays to get his message across. And so that's an important aspect of, building a business, is you have that personality. And you have to develop it and sort of lean into it, which,
Very
some of us
much.
have a hard time doing.
Sure. Yeah, and it can be hard. It can be hard to, it's an uncomfortable thing, and is something that I talk about this a lot. So if any of like my viewers are listening to this, they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's talking about this again." But one of my biggest tenets that I have always kind of talked about is, and I developed this strategy when I worked in the retail space. I was working with kids that it was their first job. It's their first time being out in a forward facing environment towards customers, and public speaking is genuinely one of the hardest things for people to get over. But I want to write a book about it for sure. I think that it's very, very important. Yeah. But so if I did, one of the chapters would be titled "Controlling the Awkwardness." Is huge. If you can control the awkwardness, you'll never feel awkward. And I think that that is
Yeah.
what has really helped me be able to lean into that space. And you know, it's like, be that. So like in that lesson, the basic tenets is to be that person that goes out and makes eye contact with somebody when you're talking to them, makes the first move of greeting somebody, offering the handshake first, being really just being actively conscious of being that person that is controlling the situation. Because you know, you feel awkward all the time. There's always those moments, you're walking down the hall, somebody turns down the hall, you're in the same lane of each other, you do the back and forth, I don't know which way to go.
Yeah.
No, be that person to decide, okay, I'm going this way, you go that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with driving. When there's 4 people at the stop sign and they're all waiting for the other person, be the person to drive, right?
Be the
Just make it
person that,
happen.
exactly, be the person to go. So I think that is one of my one lesson that I think that everybody should kind of look at, as far as leaning into something like a
Yeah, leaning into your
persona.
personality. And what's interesting too is like like I imagine Dr. Disrespect is probably a very made up character persona, but you don't have to make up your persona or your character, right? Sometimes you just
No,
have to caricature your own personality, right? Like
exactly.
you take the things that are the best about you or whatever, or maybe even the worst about you, and you amplify them a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
exactly.
that amplification. It's that amplification that allows you to create that persona, right? And I know, like, if you've ever read any of these books from some of the professional athletes, right? They talk about they have the persona that they step into when they get on the court,
Yep.
right? And it's like, I believe it was Michael Jordan actually talked about that. It's like he's got his Michael Jordan that he is normally, and then he's got his Michael Jordan that he is on the court. And that guy is the world's best basketball player. And
Hmm.
so he steps into the persona of I am the world's best basketball player, and then he plays that way, right? He plays
Exactly.
that character, right? And what it's like, that's actually his reality, right? He actually was the world's best basketball player. But a lot of successful people have the character they step into when they get into the game, whatever their game
Right.
is, right? And so for you, you're talking about like my game is literally video games, and I'm creating a community here. You have the personality that you have to step into when you get on camera.
Exactly. And I mean, it's kind of like you have to really uh think of it like acting, but you're playing yourself. Is like,
Yeah,
I'm going on and I I am going to play myself for everybody to see, like how I
yeah.
think that
And
I
you're gonna
want
play the
people
best
to see
version of
me.
yourself.
Exactly, exactly. I'm not just going to be like just me just hanging out, just like, hey, what's up everybody, how's it, I'm gonna be like, yo, what's up everybody, how's it going out there on planet Earth? I'm doing stuff like that where you're amplifying stuff, and like you said,
Yeah,
and really just kind of uh understanding that you are the business, you are what people are coming to, you are everything, you're everything within the creation of whatever it is you're doing, whether
yeah.
you're starting up a bakery, whether you're doing an online accounting firm. You are that person, and you have to really be
Yeah, you have
comfortable
to
with that.
step up and provide. You have to provide the energy for the room, so to speak, right? And I was like, I know, I have to do that at my company. I've only got 4 staff members, right? Myself and 3 other people,
Hmm.
but I have to show up and be the best me, right? And
Exactly.
that's what energizes the whole team, right? And CEOs do that all the time. Your athletes, the star athlete on the team does that all the time. You as, the leader of the community, you have to step up and you have to be the energy for the community, because the community's not going to do it for you.
No, no, exactly. Nobody's going to like come and are going to do your job for you. Basically, it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's where that controlling that awkwardness that really comes into play. Is that, yeah, you have to be that person to really step up and show yourself off. And it's a sense of confidence that you have within your own abilities. I think that that's where a lot of people kind of falter, and where a lot of failure points come into play is just a lack of confidence in what you're doing and what you're talking about, in yourself, you know. And you have to do a lot of kind of inward looking and understanding, you know, like, what is it that is holding me back? You know, is it, you know, I was speaking with somebody that is trying to do content creation, and I was talking to them, asking them questions about it, and I was told that they, you know, they, and I hear this everywhere, you know, a lot of content creators will say that they don't like the sound of their voice. They don't like hearing themselves. A lot of people have a struggle with that. Nobody likes to hear what they sound like. However,
Yeah.
get comfortable with it. Listen to it. Listen to it over and over. Like when I very first started streaming, the second that I got off of the stream, I would get up, I would stretch, and then I would come and sit back down and watch all 4 to 5 hours of the stream immediately afterwards. I would be doing other work and stuff, but I was watching and I was listening, and I was making sure that I was seeing, you know, oh shoot, I missed this person's comment, and then they didn't comment for another 10 minutes or so. So I have to really make sure that, okay, next time I need to pay attention to that person, or be sure that I'm talking to people. And as we grow, that, you know, those change, you know. But when I was very first starting out, we had 3 people in the chat, you know. There was only a couple people watching at a time, and it was like, man, you missed that and they didn't talk. Oof. Okay, what are we doing to change that? You know, what are we doing to make sure that we're out there
to actually develop that community?
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
I want to bring it home for our listeners and talk about your guiding principles, right? So top 1 or 2 principles or actions that you put into practice every day in your business that you think contribute to the success and influence you've enjoyed with EurekaFresh. Maybe something you wish you'd known when you first started out.
Oh man, something that I like, something that's driving, or
Yeah, something that you sort of put into practice every day that you think is really helping you guys grow and do what you do.
Sure. I guess one of the things that that I was most unaware of when I very first started was just the absolute amount of work that really genuinely goes into brand development and community and growing and the growth online. You know, everybody, you look at online success, and man, you see people with hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of likes, and you're like, what is that secret sauce that they are putting in their content? Because I don't understand what it is. But once you start really looking into it, and the thing that I have found is just the consistency is the number one most important thing, I believe, to be the biggest part about it. And I talk about this a lot when I do streams where we're talking, because we do what's called late night create night on Saturdays, and we do a bunch of different things. I taught people how to DJ, how to paint, how to do this stuff. But one of the biggest things we were talking about is, like, for up and coming streamers, or for other small streamers, or other affiliates that are trying to grow, is that idea of consistency is so important within brand development. And there's a lot of areas of it, and a lot of people kind of get that misconstrued with constant. Consistency doesn't mean constantly. That's not what it means. A lot of people think, oh man, I've just got to hit go live every single day for as many hours as my eyes can absolutely stand to watch a screen. And that's not it. No, that's not it. It's setting yourself up for success. If you can only like promise your viewers that you will be there 1 day a week, because maybe you have work, maybe you have, you know, your kids at home, but you know that every Thursday I have this amount of time, then make that your day that you stream every week. Don't change it. If you can only do 1 day, that is better than you doing sporadically streaming, like, oh, now I'm streaming at 10 a.m. Oh, now it's like 4 p.m. Now I can do it at midnight. You know, you have to really set yourself up for consistent success in a lot of areas. Like for instance, with like booking this show, you know, there was Tuesday slots, there were Thursday slots. You know, it's not like pick any time. You know, you have to have a structure within your whatever it is that you're doing. You know, you're a business.
Yeah.
You open at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. You are open all of those days. So your customers know they can come and see you then. And that was the big thing that I implement.
Yeah, it's actually
always.
It's one of the things that we talk about my my clients all the time. Is when they're getting ready to start a show, that, you know, like I'll have people like, they'll get all gung ho about it, and they're like, oh, I'm going to start a podcast and I'm going to do a live, you know, I'm going to do a recording every single day for the rest of the year. And I'm like, you know, even if it's only 10 minutes or it's like a 5-minute thing they're going to do every morning with their coffee. And I'm like, you can do that if you want to consistently do it. Right. But if you're going to do it every day for 3 weeks and then stop and then start up again a couple of weeks later and then stop, and then you're going to do it for, you know, every once in a while, like, that's not going to work. So like what I tell all of my clients, I was like, the easiest thing to do, especially for the type of content we're doing, most of our content's not live, is do a weekly show, right? Batch recorded at the beginning of the month, right? So you record 4 or 5 episodes a month, depending how many weeks there are in the month. One day, get them in the can. You can get them all processed and done, and then consistently put them out every Monday, 8 o'clock, right? Or every Thursday at 4 o'clock, whatever it is. So your audience starts to expect and know that that stuff is coming every single Thursday at 8 o'clock. And that consistency is what really nails it. And that'll grow faster than you inconsistently doing it every day.
Right, exactly. And then you getting burnt out, you know, that's a big thing. Is the burnout is very, very, that's what will kill any sort of small business is, man, I didn't realize that. Yeah, because that doesn't sound, right now, that doesn't sound bad. I can record something every morning with coffee. I can record something. I can write something up every morning for 10 minutes. That's not bad. But you do that for a year, and whoa, now you're like, I am going to scratch my eyes out if I have to do this another time.
Yeah, and especially when you realize that even if it's only 10 minutes of content, you have to 10x that amount of time in order to get that content published and distributed and promoted and like done properly, right? And edited, right? So you're not talking 10 minutes, you're talking an hour every single day or more, an hour, 2 hours every day or more to get that 10-minute stuff out every day. So it's a lot easier to like be nice to yourself. You can still grow a channel, grow a thing with an hour or 2 hours worth of content a week, and you can still feed yourself.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like, man, I like recoiled like physically when you were saying that you have clients that are saying that they want to do that kind of. I was like, oh God, that poor person.
Yeah, no, I
don't do that.
I specifically had a client that was like, we're gonna go full tilt on YouTube, and I'm gonna create, you know, 3 videos a week every week, and I was like, I don't think you should do that.
Whoa.
And they were like, why not? And I was like, because it's like you're looking at like the, you know, that you're looking at these other streamers, these other YouTubers that are doing that, and they built up to that, right? They have staff, right? They have people that are helping them do that.
Yeah, they have a dearth of, or not a dearth, they have like an excess of content that they can pull from at any given time. Like, that's the thing is,
like
what was that?
One of my favorite podcasters, he does political commentary and he does a daily show, right? And they actually do multiple daily shows now, but he's got 25 people on his staff, right? Like, he's got researchers and writers and video editors and like the whole bit, right? Like it's a whole thing. You
could do that easily then. You got 25 people, you could easily put out 3 episodes a week.
Right. And they put out an episode every day. So
oh my God, dude, that's insane. That would be and that's the thing is that I just don't think that a lot of people understand that side of the content creation, is that it really,
Yeah.
You really have to give yourself time to do it. Like I've been operating this entire thing by myself as far as the creation side of goes. I do have a lot of help within like the community and stuff like that. I have moderators really help with
Yeah.
that, and gosh, I'm so grateful for the work that they do, and they just voluntarily do it, which is absolutely amazing. So I try to give back to them as much as possible. But we are starting to get to the point where I am looking to get somebody that is a dedicated video editor. Like I've edited every single bit of everything. I've done all of our graphic design. Every bit is all done in-house. And I'm just barely getting to the point where I'm looking towards, maybe adding somebody to the roster that I can, throw some bucks at, help support. My biggest thing is trying to support other local, other, small time businesses in any way that I possibly can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that consistency, but not being mean to yourself, for sure. I like that a lot.
Right. So consistency is the guiding principle,
Yes, 1,000%.
which is really awesome. So that basically wraps up our interview. Thank you so much for coming on. I've got one last thing we do with all of our guests. It's really simple.
Awesome.
I call it the Heroes Challenge. And the Heroes Challenge is basically this. Do you have someone in your network that you think has a cool entrepreneurial story? Who are they? First names are fine if you don't have their permission to share. And why do you think they should come share their story on our show?
Another another person on the show. As far as like content creator wise goes,
Either anything, right? So any business owners that you're associated with, entrepreneurs, or if you have connections with other content creators, I'd love to feature more content creators like you on the show. So if you have someone that you have in your network, that would be cool.
Sure. I think that a really awesome area to kind of start leaning or looking towards is the kind of it's a role that goes kind of parallel with streamers, and it's a very important part of streaming culture, and that is the artists that help provide things like emotes for channels, and like for us, one of my biggest things is that I talked about is the merchandise, and all of the merchandise that we have is has artwork from a bunch of local artists, and so I try to really focus on supporting artwork, supporting artists around there. Specifically, there is an artist that I don't know if she would be down to do it, but she goes by Ashori Art on Instagram.
Okay.
She's done all of our artwork as far as all of our emotes. She's done our artwork for several of our t-shirt designs. And just kind of looking, if you look on Twitter and you start looking in the streaming culture, there are so many incredibly talented artists out there that I think would be an awesome facet to kind of start looking into, as far as getting them a space to promote themselves. Because, man, art is one of those things that just people do not respect the power of artwork, especially in the graphic design world. Coming from a graphic designer myself, is that it's like, man, people don't want to pay for one of the most important things, and that is your visual media. People want it for free and think that because you enjoy drawing and that you enjoy being an artist, that you'll just do it for free. But that's not the case.
So you don't need to eat, right?
Yeah, no, you can get paid in exposure bucks, and those will pay the bills 1,000%.
Yeah. You've always been to, Walmart always takes exposure bucks to buy groceries, right?
Oh my gosh, that's what that EBT stands for. Exposure bucks.
Yeah. Exposure bucks. Transactions.
Transactions, exactly.
There we go. We just made
That's
that
how
up on
I
the
get.
spot.
That's how I get my groceries every week. But no, I think that
Yeah,
there's
yeah. It's like you just have to come in with your viewer count, right? If you got your viewer count, right, the number of likes you got on your art, you can just bring
yeah.
that right in.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like the best ever. I'm going to be poor though. But no, I think that reaching
Awesome.
out to
So,
some artists like that. Her name's Ashlyn. She's an awesome artist. But I mean, there are thousands of artists out there that are struggling
yeah,
to
well,
get out there, and I think would be an awesome place to kind of talk about the
we'll see what we can do about
entrepreneurship.
getting Ashlyn onto the show. We'll reach out afterwards, see if we can get contact details from you.
Sure.
So at that point, that's I think wraps up our interview. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
It's been excellent talking to you. Such a cool, interesting business to be in.
Yeah.
So at this
Thank
point,
you.
what I want to find out is where can people find you if they are interested in watching you stream or being a part of the community that you're in? And then I guess more importantly, who are the kinds of people that you seem to find in your community that, if they don't know about you and they might be interested in like either themselves or their children coming and watching your show? Who are those people?
Sure. So yeah, you can follow me over. First of all, come over, check out the show over at twitch.tv/EurekaFresh. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturdays starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our late night create nights and late night leftovers show. You can follow me over there. You can follow us over on YouTube, youtube.com/EurekaFresh. I'm at EurekaFresh on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram. Twitter is probably the most prevalent one. And so, yeah, if you want to stay in touch, come and follow me over there for sure. And then are you saying just do a shout out to to some people?
Yeah, it's like who are the types of people like if in our audience that are gonna say stand up and be like, yeah, that's the kind of this show I'd like to watch. Do you have like a common thread of the type of people that end up in your community?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So and this is just welcome invitation to anybody out there. If you are somebody that is out there looking for a positive group of people to spend your time with, if you want to have that sense of community, if you're looking for a positive light in the darkness of social media out there, we really, really, really welcome anybody out there that is looking for that sort of kinship, friendship, wolf pack type mentality. Anybody out there that is looking to have a good time and make some friends along the way, we welcome you on board the SAS Eureka in space, your safe place in space, anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so very much for coming on, Carson.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed our conversation and look forward to seeing what you're doing. I might go and subscribe my son to your channel so we can watch some of what's going on.
Awesome, for sure. Yeah, I'd absolutely appreciate that. Yeah, if you have anything, let me know for sure. And thank you so much for the opportunity to come on here and talk with you. And hopefully, we've provided some information to some of your listeners out there that may be excited about getting into the streaming community, give them a little bit of insight into what it takes to be a content creator.
Awesome. So that basically wraps up the interview. Do you have any final words of wisdom before I hit that stop record button?
You know what? Just everybody out there, stay positive. Don't forget to love yourselves and be positive out there. That's what we need in this world, and whatever you can do to do that is very, very important now. So thank you so much, and thank you for providing this for myself and for all of the viewers out there listening.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Carson. We really appreciate it.
Thank